Hello, I'm Gary Jordan with the Jordan Property Group, brokered by eXp Realty. In the real estate industry, there's an old proverb called listing to last. We don't consistently do listings. Your chance of your career lasting very long is not real good. There's a very important process that any good realtor should adhere to make sure that you do a good job of your listing presentations and that your clients are well served. The first thing is, before a listing presentation, you should always call your seller or prospective client, ask them about 5 key questions. Number one is, when do you want to sell? What do you think your home is worth? More importantly, why do you want to sell? This is real important to get their whys. Where do you want to go to after you sell? And what is your current mortgage balance? Getting answers to those questions will enable you to do a much better job and be more prepared to meet with your client for a listing presentation. Once you reach your client's home for the listing presentation, there's a process now also. You naturally want to meet your clients, greet them, be as professional, dress professionally, look like a professional, and exchange some pleasantries to begin with. Sit down at the table, tell them what your plans are, the objective of this meeting, and then ask for a kind of a $5 tour of the home. Let them show you their home. Ask them the questions. Take notes as you're going through the home. Make notes of anything needs to be repaired or any paint needs to be cleaned up. Anything good, bad. The carpets, make sure the carpet's good. Ask questions about the HVAC system. Your air conditioning, your heating system, your hot water heater. When they last service. Make sure that the doors all open and close real well. Look for cracks in the wall for any signs of any kind of foundation settling. Once you've had the home tour, you sit down with your client, and then once again, you go over those same original 4 or 5 questions. And key on number 1 is, why do you want to sell? Understand, going through the process of selling a home, there's going to be some stress involved, be some anxiety involved from the client's standpoint. So it's important they have some important reasons to want to sell, and it's important that you know those reasons before you go through the process and accept the listing as a part of your business. Knowing where they want to go to, what city and so forth. If they're going to another city, ask them, do they have a professional realtor lined up to help them with their buying process in that other city? This will enable you to have a good referral. And referrals is an important part of a business. Once again, when do they want to sell? What's the timeline? If they want to sell 3 months from now, let them know that typically the home needs to be on the contract about 30 to 45 days before the closing. So you need to have adequate amount of time. You need probably another 30 to 45 days prior to going on the market to get the home really set up and staged properly, looking good, professional photos done. I emphasize professional photos where the home is going to look its very, very best on day one to make that best first impression to get the top dollar for your client. Ask your client again, what do they think the home is worth? I can assure you, clients today, people today are on the internet. They're looking at Zillow. They're looking at Realtor.com. They're looking at other valuation services that are out there that may or not be accurate. So it's important for you to know what their expectation is as far as price, excuse me, before you accept a listing. You don't want to take a listing you can't sell. Everybody loses in that situation. Where they want to go, we'll discuss that. And once again, reconfirm their mortgage balance, make sure they have equity in the home, enough equity to take care of the cost involved in getting the home staged properly, cleaned up properly, maybe paint cleanups, anything needs to be done, roofing issues and so forth prior to going on the market. And sit down and explain to your clients with a professional listing presentation. Don't assume just because you're uh, a good guy or a good gal and you're so smart and you think I think you're the best realtor in town that they understand and know that. So having a professional presentation, giving your background, going through the entire selling process to the client is very, very important. Tell them also in the presentation what the steps are going to be. Once your home is you decide to go forward, you're going to be signing some agreements. You're going to have a listing agreement. That way, it binds them to you and it binds you to them. Everybody knows exactly what your responsibilities are. Don't do this without having a listing presentation signed by both parties. Let them know that getting a home ready to go on the market, once you've seen what needs to be done, whether it be painting, whether it needs to be some exterior cleanup, clean up the yard, doing a better job with your shrubs, your flowers, and so forth, getting it really looking good, any paint touch up, any roofing repairs, anything needs to be done. It's going to take time, and vendors aren't available the very next day, so you got to allow enough time to get these things done, prior to going on the market. You got to get the home ready to go, have it ready for the dance. I always say, looking at its very best prior to bringing in your professional photography company to do first-rate professional photos. This day and time, I recommend also having a 3D tour of your home done by the photography company. If your home is an area that has great surroundings, great scenery, and so forth, I recommend having aerial photographs done also. This really show the home at its very, very best. Then make sure your clients understand the process is once it goes live on the MLS, it's for sale for sure. You may want to do an open house. If that's the case, schedule a time that works with your schedule and your client's schedule to do the open house. It should be I'd say at least 3 or 4 hours in length. You should prepare ahead of time, advertise it properly, have lots of directional signs, and do a good job with the open house. That can also be a great source of referrals for you as a realtor, but also provides an opportunity to help your client get that home sold as soon as possible for the top price. Let them know also that normally, based upon whatever your statistics for your area say, most homes are going to be on the market for X number of days. If the market's real hot, it may be on the market typically on the average for only a few days. If the market's a little bit slower in certain areas, it might be on the market for a few weeks, sometimes a few months. You never know. But let them know the expectations so they won't be disappointed in your overall service. Let them know also, once the home is on the market, once you get that buyer, and it only takes one. You won't have more than one, but it only takes one to get the deal done. You go into contract. One of the first things the buyer is going to do is have a home inspector inspect the home on their behalf, looking for any kind of problems that might exist, need to be taken care of before the home closes. Now, if you know of any problems ahead of time, I recommend highly that you have a pre-listing home inspection done by your own home inspector. That way, he can identify things maybe you didn't know about and enable you to correct these problems prior to going live. It's better to get them corrected now before you even show the home versus after the fact and possibly lose a contract or lose a good buyer. Let your client also know that typically once you go into contract, you get past the inspection, that normally it's going to be about a 30 to 45 days from the time you go into contract to the time you close. But the key speed bumps along the way is the inspection. The client will get this done. They will typically come back a few days later after the inspection with a document called an inspection objection document. It lists things that they want you possibly to take care of prior to the closing. That's always negotiable. Your agent, or you as an agent, should negotiate on your client's behalf to agree to do certain things if they're significant, but usually not doing everything. Once everybody agrees to this inspection objection request, you sign what's called an inspection resolution. That means everybody agrees in writing certain things will be done prior to the closing. The next speed bump is going to be an appraisal. Make sure that your lender, make sure that the buyer's lender gets the appraisal ordered ASAP, a lot of times immediately upon the inspection resolution being agreed upon. Appraiser sometimes takes a week or two to get to the property to do an appraisal. Once the appraisal is done, typically it's going to be a lot of times 3 or 4 days, sometimes a week before you get the appraisal report back. Now, you're always going to hope on behalf of your seller client that the appraisal comes back at least the contract purchase price. If it does, great, you move forward. If it doesn't, let's say it comes back a little bit lower than the purchase price, you got to negotiate now with the buyer to come up with a acceptable price of the home. Your seller does not have to agree to that. They can agree to whatever they want to. They can just say, no, we're going to hold out for X number of dollars and we're going to put it back on the market. Usually that's a bad choice because your home's been off on the market now for a couple of months. It's going to raise red flags to any other prospective buyers of what's the problem, why did it fall out of contract. These are just a few of the things that are really important for you as a realtor to make sure that are addressed and understood by your client. It's important that you make sure that your clients, their questions are answered. Another important question to ask your client too is, what are some of your biggest fears, some of your anxiety you may have in putting a home on the market? Get those answers for them prior to starting the overall process. If you do these things on a consistent basis, you do them professionally, you communicate with your client on a regular basis. I'd say communicate with your client during this process at least once a week. You're going to have great success with your listings. You're going to have a lot of good clients, and you're going to have a lot of clients who are more than happy to refer you to their friends and family for additional business. Hope this has been helpful to you, the listing process. And once again, in real estate, if you're going to be a successful realtor, list to last. I appreciate you. And I'm never too busy for your referrals too. I'm Gary Jordan, 719-502-7176. Thank you.